didn't shoot it well, and they're 95 points, the fewest in any of the 24 games that LeBron and Luka have played together. It results in the largest first-round Game 1 loss of LeBron's playoff career. All right, joined now by Kendrick Perkins. And Perk, look, it is quite obvious that the Timberwolves were unfazed and unbothered about starting this series against the Lakers in L.A. But how do you explain them going into that arena and blowing out LeBron and Luka?
They got on their ass like back pockets defensively. That's what they did. And a pair of apple bottoms. And listen, it started with Anthony Edwards. They had him uncomfortable, Reeves, the entire night.
They were
pressuring up. They were physical with him. They were communicating on switches. They did a great job of sliding their puppies all across the board. And here's the one thing that J.J. Redick didn't say in his interview. He didn't say, I got to hold myself accountable for his defensive scheme. Because over the last 2 months, what J.J. and the Lakers do defensively is they load up boxes and elbows, and they dare teams to make three-point shots. And that's exactly what this professional team did today in the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have shot makers. Jay McDaniels have made threes in the playoffs before. He did it last year. Naz Reid is known for knocking down three-point shots. Anthony Edwards had a career year from the three-point line. So now J.J. Redick has to go back to the drawing board and make an in-series adjustment. What are you going to do? Are you going to play Jackson Hayes more minutes? Are you not going to play the small ball lineup so much? How can I get LeBron James going even more? Maybe try him on a low block to create mismatches so he could punish the smaller guys. Whatever it is, that was a total team loss all across the board, not just the players, but on J.J. Redick as well.
So to your point, 21 for 42 is what Minnesota shot from three, and Naz Reid was 6 of 9 off the bench. He finished with 23. Speaking of points, though, let's go to L.A. for a second. We mentioned how few points they scored in this game, especially since LeBron and Luka have been together. Everyone believes that Luka and LeBron can lead a team, obviously, deep into the playoffs, but they're going to need some help. It may not be the same person every night, but they're going to have someone else pull some of that scoring load. Is it Austin Reeves, or has it got to be somebody else here?
Look, Eves, I said this before the postseason, and I was called everything but a child of God. LeBron James and Luka are the best players on the Lakers. We know this. Austin Reeves is the most important player on the Lakers, especially to their success. When Austin Reeves scores 20 or more, the Lakers were 27-9 in the regular season. Austin Reeves has to get going because you're asking LeBron James to do so much. At times, he's playing the center position. Now you need that secondary ball handler and playmaker to not only go out there and get his, but create for others. And that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves did a great job of as well, is taking Austin Reeves completely out of the game. He made some shots late in the fourth, but again, it was out of control at that point.
All right, Perk, appreciate the context as always. Quick question, real talk. When was the last time you saw some apple-bottom jeans?
Back in like 2003 when my wife had them on when I first walked up to her and told her I wanted to holler at her.
Oh. But the real question is, did she have on boots with the fur? My man Perk, we'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, later.
By the way, Perk was talking about Austin Reeves. This is Nuance Sports Center. Here he is after the game.
Austin, ask JJ this same question, but what did you see in that second quarter to start it, where the game kind of flipped in Minnesota's direction after you guys came out and had a somewhat typical first quarter for you?
They went on a run to start the quarter, and we couldn't find a way to, get a bucket. And I feel like that affected us on both ends. You're not going to be perfect in the game. You got to figure out ways to play through those situations. And, to be honest, I have to be better at the start of the quarter, which I wasn't. And it resulted in them taking a lead and kind of just having all the momentum from there.
It's a team that you hadn't seen, in full since you guys got your team in full after the trade deadline. What did you notice about them today that was, whether it was similar or different to film, and about what you can take out of this game into game two?
I mean, they're going to play hard every single possession. Offensively, defensively, they're going to be physical, and we have to do a better job defensive rebounding. We gave up too many, second chance points, and then we got to, get back. We can't give up transition points either. So we'll watch the film tomorrow and figure out ways we can be better.
Look, the Timberwolves have done this before. Like, they've gone
in that stretch from the start of the second through 4 or 5 minutes to go in the third. We lost that stretch by 34. So that's a blowout.
You mentioned the physicality all week as we discussed with you this series. We knew that they're going to have a size advantage in certain matchups. How did you feel like that affected Austin Reeves early on, and do you feel like he was able to find some counters to deal with that as the game went on?
Yeah, I thought he did a good job as the game went on. Again, there's sometimes the early onslaught from Luka, it's just like easy offense, and he's making shots and getting downhill. The first possession he drives on Gobert, and then he's hitting threes, and that's really good offense for us. And some of the other guys may not touch the ball for stretches. And I thought there wasn't necessarily like forced actions. He missed a little bunny at the paint. LeBron missed 2 open threes. We had a Rui open 3. That was all at the end of the first, start of the second. And look, it's just natural again. Sometimes the missed shots can affect the defense. There was a couple misses at the rim that then led to those transition buckets where, we had a man down, them playing 5-on-4 or 3-on-2. So we can be a lot better on offense and defense.
JJ, similarly with LeBron, he got off to a slow start before it felt like he found his footing more so in the second half. What did you see with him and how they were defending him?
They're obviously switching his pick and rolls with Gobert. And I thought we got a few good stuff just trying to get Conley involved with him on the ball. Probably got to do a better job of mixing in some off-ball actions for LeBron. There was a few plays, we had sort of called or drawn up, and they went zone nearly every time we ran an ATO. We'll do better with that.
You referenced some of the missed layups you guys had. Only 10 points in the paint at halftime, finished with 32. How much of that was just simply guys missing shots they would normally make versus something Minnesota?
Well, I mean, Gobert and McDaniels make it tough. We were 1 for 7 at the rim. I mean, that's not necessarily the expected PPP on that. So we can be better. We were 7 for 20 on twos in the first half, but some of those were non-paint twos. So again, just they're going to try to make you take those shots, and they're going to try to make you finish over length. I thought there were times we did a good job with spacing Gobert, but again, if he's on the ball and you're driving him, it's a tough finish.
All right, so there's JJ.